Hey there friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sohum and today we're not going to be doing a triple reaction, we're not going to be doing a double reaction, we're just going to be reacting to one song by Prince. I hope you guys are excited to check this out, but before we do that, a massive thank you goes to Samantha the Artful for making this donation request. Thank you Samantha as always. And now, let's just jump in. It's one song time, baby. But why not two songs?
And the illusion continues. One begs to ask, when will it end? Unnatural disasters happen seemingly every week. Train crashes, shootings, nuclear accidents. Is there any place of refuge one can flee from this insanity? Very few of mankind's creations are designed to make you feel good, unless you get pleasure from seeing the human body desecrated by guns, explosions, fights, and any other things these so-called artists create.
Wow.
In the name of freedom, many have used art as a means to destroy the human mind.
Wow.
As an excuse to continue, we hear, art reflects society. How many times has this lie been repeated? Creation.
Art is not just reflective, it propagates, it is formative. Art can inform how populations think and feel. It's always a two-way street.
As an excuse to continue, we hear, art reflects society. How many times has this lie been repeated? Creations are not real, they say, and yet any one of these people can call to mind images and complete scenes of horror and graphic detail. They will carry these so-called unreal creations around with them for the rest of their lives. These images are now a part of their being.
Yeah.
In the name of recreation, these people in fact are recreating themselves and their own images. Society.
In the name of recreation, like recreation is relaxation, right? Leisure, but recreation. In the name of recreation, these people in fact are recreating themselves in their own images, and those images, according to what we heard right before, are like caked in grotesque imagery, seemingly.
So-called unreal creations
the details
around with them
of
for the
graphic
rest
horror.
of their lives. These images are now a part of their being.
Wow.
In the name of recreation,
Wow.
these people in fact are recreating themselves and their own images. Society then reflects art.
Yes, see, perfect. He gets
In
it.
man's decision to further separate from God, his recreation of himself leaves him in a dysfunctional state of confusion. The mind becomes a burial ground for dead waste.
Another way to phrase that is, if you stand for nothing and have no values, you will fall for anything, and your mind will be a wasteland of decay.
The mind becomes a burial ground for dead waste. Isolated from the wholeness of God, earth, and his fellow brothers and sisters, this man seeks solace in activities he thinks will stimulate his mind.
Hedonism.
He then begins downloading into his brain a series of man-made creations designed to destroy it. All man-made creations originate from one of two sources:
Ego.
the tree of knowledge or the tree of life. One of these trees contains deadly fruit, the other, fruit of everlasting life. The one who disregards this fact recreates himself and his
Knowledge bomb after knowledge bomb. I need to hear this again.
the tree of knowledge or the tree of life.
All man-made creations originate from one of two sources, knowledge or life. So I guess in his forthcoming dialogue, the tree of knowledge implies something negative or poisonous.
One of these trees contain deadly fruit, the other, fruit of everlasting life.
Because I presumably the fruit of everlasting life is coming from the tree of life. I've just never heard the tree of knowledge ever being referred to as containing poisonous fruits or deadly fruits.
The one who disregards this fact recreates himself and his kind into extinction.
Wow.
You are reading these words on a machine created by man. As you read, you hear a voice speaking to you the words that you perceive. They make sense to you because you understand. Stand under the spelling
How many double meanings are in this one? Understand, stand under. I've heard Prince do that before. And spelling. The way things are perceived and we define them itself is casting a spell over the self. Stand under the spell. I gotta go back again.
That you perceive. They make sense to you because you understand. Stand under the spelling. The words are what binds this spell to your illusion.
The words are what bind this spell to your illusion. Because we imbue sometimes incorrect meaning onto words, and so whatever the perception is, that perception becomes reality regardless of the reality of the words spoken or even what is out there to be experienced on Earth. So it's just all a matter of how we perceive things to be reality, which is our own illusion, because any version of reality is always our own subjective experience, which itself is the illusion.
When you hear the truth, like a memory, you recognize it, and this recognition releases you from all illusion.
You hear the truth like a memory, you recognize it, and this recognition releases you from all illusion. The truth like a memory. I guess that implies that like truth is always there to be discovered, so once you land upon it, you will not be filled with confusion. If I were to play devil's advocate to that statement alone, I think there are differences in the way that human minds are formed, such that some minds will unabashedly believe that what their worldview is the truth, and therefore they feel also released from these illusions because their version of reality is homeostasis. What they deem to be the truth is the unlocked memory. It could be a fictitious memory, or it could be a memory manipulated and forced onto them, or any other mechanism, I guess. But they would full-heartedly agree that this is the truth without recognizing, basically I'm making the case for ignorance that would break potentially this feeling released. Because if you tell somebody the truth and they believe something entirely different, they can look it in the face and not believe it and still feel vindicated in the self.
Like a memory, you recognize it, and this recognition releases you from all illusion. Many languages are brilliant in their attempt to confuse you. Con meaning against, fuse meaning together. Words in...
Yes and no. This is my own perception, so just take whatever I'm saying with a grain of salt, but languages are there to attempt to convey thought, and thoughts are infinitely more complex than our man-made language is currently capable of handling, and we may never get to a place where language as we know it can fully express all of the thoughts and feelings and whatever that humans go through. So I think language is always just going to limit our scope rather than attempt to confuse. Language can be confusing, but I don't think language is being used manipulatively. It can be, but language is a tool, and tools can be used for good and bad things. So I wouldn't make language out to be the victim, or language out to be the perpetrator.
Against, fuse meaning together. Words in their spell-binding illusions have the power to keep man separate from God. You were born...
Yeah, people can be convinced away from God using language and words. That is true.
Born in an all-knowing state of mind. The first words spoken to you begin the spell. The words come from one of two sources, the tree of knowledge or the tree of life.
So here Prince is saying that when we were born, we had the knowledge already, and as we grew older and heard the manipulations of society, it drew us further away from who we really were, who we really are.
In ignorance or simply lack of respect for God, many use words that confuse the minds of humans and turn them into projections of their own illusions.
He's too smart for me, man. In ignorance or simply lack of respect for God, many use words that confuse the minds of humans and turn them into projections of their own illusions. So others have convinced themselves of a reality separate from God, and then they project those illusions onto the world abroad. That's my understanding here.
And turn them into projections of their own illusions. Because of this fact, many people grow up and blindly assume their pre-selected role under a dictatorship without even being aware of it.
Yeah.
When asked what they are doing here on earth, most will answer with statements that do not reflect their natural God-given desires. This creates a pyramid-like structure with the dictator on top and each level under it knowing less and less.
Yes.
Upon reaching the bottom level, which is where the majority is, you will find chaos, disorder, and illusion.
Yes.
With ill as its prefix, illusion is a state of insanity.
Prince is too good, man.
Prefix illusion is a state of insanity. In the name of democracy, supreme power is vested unto the people in this insane state instead of God. Future.
There's a line from a Hobson. If Hobson's a rapper, a Hobson song. The line was, "What if Jesus was a facade? That would mean the government's God." The moment that structures above us, whether it's government, religious institutions, individuals who self-impose and are attached to ego, their understanding of the world, and position themselves above you in a hierarchy, instead of looking at you as another human who wants to walk hand in hand with you, that's when you know they are separate from God, they are separate from the betterment of humanity, they are disconnected from the self, they are disconnected from others, and they only seek to act as parasites on others and drag us all down with them. And it's hard to recognize we all embody these characteristics ourselves, by the way. It would be so foolish for me to just completely externalize all of these, machinations of the mind, these illusions onto others, because that would be literally the point that Prince is trying to get across if I were to do something like that. To recognize that all of these characteristics are characteristics of the self is, like one of the first steps in recovery, right? Think of AA. First, admitting there's a problem, understanding where your humility lies is super important here.
In this insane state instead of God. A future recreated to be ruled by man is one of isolation and despair.
Yeah.
Returning the leadership back into God will allow mankind to achieve its original collective goal, which is union with God. Ideas contrary to this goal should not be blamed or persecuted.
And a different way to think about it is humans are always better together than apart. Being individualistic, it works in some circumstances, but when things are done communally, so many outcomes and many aspects of life are improved across the board. It is borne out study after study through evolutionary psychology, in behavioral economics, in sociology, in psychology. Being together is the thing that brings us closer to at least happier outcomes, if that's what you're concerned about. And in a more spiritual sense, and what Prince is hearkening towards, is the union with God, becoming closer. This collective goal that we have allows us all to be on the same page. We have the same mission, which is betterment of the self, and the self is God.
Ideas contrary to this goal should not be blamed or persecuted, just simply ignored. They originated when man first chose to ignore God's rule. Simply put, In the beginning, the human was made perfect in God's image. They had no need for knowledge. They were also given freedom of choice.
No need for knowledge. Okay, so that's making more sense with the tree of knowledge. Because the moment, I mean, I don't know if it's going to delve into like consciousness and if there's like an intrinsic issue with that, but knowledge conveyed through language, which is often used as a tool of manipulation that alters perception, that conveys illusion, brings us further from God. Because the true spiritual knowledge, the true connection to God comes from within. It's already innate.
Made perfect in God's image, they had no need for knowledge. They were also given freedom of choice. The tree of knowledge and the tree of life are reflections of this freedom. The human is now a reflection of their choice.
Yes, agree.
They could have simply chose not to choose. God, being centrifugal in nature,
Chose not to choose. Who's they? The humans?
chose not to choose. God, being centrifugal in nature, freedom was the cause, and choice was the effect.
I need to look up centrifugal. My physics knowledge is not on point today. Moving or tending to move away from center. Okay. So God being centrifugal in nature, so moving away from center, freedom was the cause. So we're moving away from our... Hold on. God being centrifugal. Is God the individual being centrifugal in nature? That it's moving away from us? Or was freedom the thing that became centrifugal to move us away from God?
Centrifugal in nature, freedom was the cause, and choice was the effect.
Freedom was the cause. Sohum's brain is breaking today. Freedom was the cause. Choice was the effect. God giving us freedom allowed us to have choice. And since we've chosen to choose rather than to not choose and just be with God, that brings us further away. So then one of the natural questions is, where did that freedom come from? Freedom was given by God, right?
God being centrifugal in nature, freedom was the cause, and choice was the effect. In knowing their perfection made in God's image, there was no need to choose.
And knowing their perfection in God's image, there's no need to choose. Okay, I understand the logic with everything Prince has said thus far.
In fact, there were no needs.
Needs
there was
didn't
only
exist.
love in an all-knowing state before the fall.
Okay, so I definitely agree with like most of what Prince is saying. Some part of me thinks that like before the fall implies that there was a specific moment in time that we all transitioned away from a basal, loving, all-knowing state to this moral decay that we were experiencing year on year, generation after generation. So I wonder what the specific event is that Prince is referring to here before the fall. What was the fall? Because the way I would kind of assume it to be is a death by 1,000 cuts. It's been gradual. It happens incrementally across time. And there's a constant tug of war between love and hate, the angels and the demons.
All-knowing state before the fall. The worst thing you can do is give up your God-given right to choose.
So now choice is a good thing? Okay, I'm not going to get lost in the sauce of confusion now.
The worst thing you can do is give up your God-given right to choose. For in it, you can choose not to choose.
I should have just let him continue speaking, huh?
Therein is the final judgment. The illusion ceases, and you awaken from your dream.
Every line, I just have to take it in, you know what I mean?
Now the healing begins. 'Cause the illusion ceases, and you awaken from your dream. Now the healing begins. 'Cause the illusion ceases, and you awaken from your dream. 'Cause the illusion ceases, and you awaken from your dream. 'Cause the illusion ceases, and you awaken from your dream. 'Cause the illusion ceases, and you awaken from your dream. 'Cause the illusion ceases, and you awaken from your dream. 'Cause the illusion ceases, and you awaken from your dream. 'Cause the illusion ceases, and you awaken from your dream. 'Cause the illusion ceases, and you awaken from your dream. 'Cause the illusion ceases, and you awaken from your dream. 'Cause the illusion ceases, and you awaken from your dream. 'Cause the illusion ceases, and you awaken from your dream. 'Cause the illusion ceases, and you awaken from your dream. 'Cause the illusion ceases, and you awaken from your dream. 'Cause the illusion ceases, and you awaken from your dream. With an all-knowing mind made in God's image, you can create as your creator, God intended. With love made in God's image, you can create as your creator, God intended. With love, honor, and respect for every living thing in the universe, separation ceases and we all become one being. Sing the one song.
I've mentioned this in a previous reaction, but my name, Sohum, means I am one. We are one. We are all part of each other. I am him. I am God. You are God. I am one with the universe. This is trippy.
Sing the one song.
We are all one.
I am the universe, the sun, the moon, and the sea. I am the energy, for that is what I believe. I can be contradiction if that is all I see.
Wow.
But I am the universe, and the universe is me. I am the one song, oh yes, and that one song is free. All things come from this one song. Just say, the garden and the tree. If everything is present, what is will always be. This is the first.
Yeah. I don't need to break down every line, but I'm just in shock right now. I think Prince and I would be great friends.
If everything is present, what is will always be. This is the first and the last song, and all that come between. When language falls like a wounded soldier, and it's covered by the sea. All that's left is all these unanswered questions. Keep me company. Company, company, come to me, please. Here at the center of it all, I know your call will come from me. Yes, it will. Oh, yes, it will. Where else is it gonna come from? Oh, my universe. I am the universe. One truth, one song, one energy.
Wow. He's so smart. He gets it. He's connected with the universe. You can sense it just by how magnetic he is. Because there are people like that in the world, right? You're just drawn to them and it's hard to explain why. They give you good feelings. They impart knowledge. They make you feel seen. They make you feel human. They see the goodness in you. They love you. and we love to hear from them. We love to be around them. We love to cherish them and really hold them up, right? Idolize them. And, Prince, he knows all of those things, and he could, right, abuse his power, and he is that good of a person that he would rather all of us learn that goodness is within us all. The ability to reach God and yourself, who is God, it's all internal. Oh, man. That is the kind of song. It's not a song, it's, one song, but this is more of a, what would you call it in church? Not a prayer, but more of a sermon. This is like a sermon that Prince just gave us about what it means to be a human, what it means to be part of the universe. Let me know what you all think about Prince's comments, my comments in the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Wow, Samantha. I hope you enjoyed my reaction today. If you did and would like to make a request yourself, you can do so by clicking the first link down below. But as always, my friends, have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care and peace.